We have some pretty crazy breaking news coming from CTV right now. Armed forces members accused of trying to start anti-government militia.
Hello, I'm Marcia McMillan. Thanks for joining us this morning on CTV News Channel. Those stories are coming up. We want to begin with breaking news out of Quebec, where RCMP have charged several men, including members of the Canadian Armed Forces, accused of trying to start an anti-government militia. The men were allegedly trying to forcibly take control of land near Quebec City. RCMP say they were carrying out military-style exercises, including shooting, ambush, and survival practice. Allegedly, they had explosive devices, dozens of firearms, ammunition, and night vision goggles. RCMP carried out searches in January when the weapons were found. The men will appear in Quebec court later today. Joining me now with his reaction is CTV News public safety analyst Chris Lewis. Chris, what do you make of these allegations?
Wow, this is it's a pretty shocking chain of events that have occurred here. A little confusing still because there's so many details we don't know. But members of the Canadian Armed Forces, a terrorist act of some sort, charged with terrorism offense, apparently military ammo and weapons, etc. But you just don't come by a lot of those things on the street. And what were their intentions? It's a frightening situation.
It is indeed. I just want to pick up on something you said. And again, this is our breaking news this morning, and we're still waiting for more details. But in terms of acquiring those weapons, how challenging or difficult would that be for this group?
Well, members of the armed forces certainly are, have a great deal of trust by their employer, the government of Canada, and sometimes people violate that trust. Obviously, in this case, it's a huge violation. So that somehow they've got access to stuff and got it out of the Canadian Armed Forces base, wherever that might be. And I'm sure there's a huge investigation going on at the same time to figure out how did they acquire that stuff, what loopholes in the systems were there that would allow that sort of thing. Why didn't somebody notice that it had gone missing?
Is ideological extremism difficult to root out? And is it a growing problem?
It absolutely is difficult to root out because generally you don't know that somebody has really gone that way until it's too late and they've either committed an act or in this case we're getting very close to committing one.
Now, personally, I just need to make this clear. I don't have an issue with people owning legal firearms, and I would even go a step further to say that you should be able to defend yourself on your own property, especially in a home invasion situation. But this case here, we don't have enough details yet, and obviously more things are going to come out as the day goes on. This is pretty wild. They had quite the arsenal, might I point out. Now, in terms of them being military weapons and how they actually got their hands on them, that's one thing, but I would also need to point out that anybody can legally purchase a firearm that looks like said military weapon, or you could kit out a weapon to make it look like something of this nature. The whole idea that we're just deeming weapons military weapons when realistically every gun could be used in a military combat scenario, it's just ridiculous. Also, weapons like the AR platform are so widely available and mass-produced that people hunt with them because the ammunition is so cheap. The platform is also extremely easy to clean and perform maintenance on. This here obviously isn't an AR, but I'm just giving an example.
Many things we've seen and talked about over the world, and many tragedies, Marcia, people have been captured in some belief online quite often, sometimes just an individual, and nobody really knows what they're thinking until it's too late. In this case, a number of like minds have come together for whatever cause that might be and have decided to take on their own government in some way in Canada. That's not something we've routinely seen in this country. Generally speaking, it's just some individual in their basement that's got radicalized in some way. This is a little different level.
Yeah, and trying to take over land, what does that say to you about their motive?
Well, I guess trying to understand what land they're trying to take over is important to know. So you would assume it's some sort of government land as opposed to just trying to take over a farmer's field. So until we know that, it's really hard to guess what that is all about.
Yes, it would be hard to guess what it's about, so let's not make assumptions and wait for the actual information to come out. That's the problem with these CTV analysts, or just news analysts in general. They just start saying things and they don't even think about it. One of the first things said in this video was we are still getting updates and more information is coming out, and then we have this analyst just making things up right away. We don't know the specifics yet. Let's wait for them to come in. But I will agree, this isn't something we see every day, not at all by any means. And of course, everybody is going to want to know what their actual motives were. Does this group have a manifesto, and will it ever come to light? Those are the questions we should be asking. Anyway, I'd like to know what you think down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, hit that sub button if you are new, and thank you very much for watching.